Besties, I've taken a week of PTO from my corporate job to live like the version of me that's on deadline for her developmental edits. We're not pretending. We're practicing my life as a full-time author, and I do actually have a deadline this week. The plan is mildly delulu, of course, but my intention is to get through 15 chapters this week, and I am doing developmental edits. So I'm rewriting huge chunks of my first draft. When I've been doing this in the evenings, I've been finding that rewriting a chapter is taking me anywhere between 2 and 4 hours. So over the next 5 days, I've got to do 3 chapters a day, which means I could be writing anywhere from 6 to 12 hours straight. Hi besties, I'm Annie, and I am going to be continuing working on this fantasy romance project that I have been working on for well over a year now. I'm really loving this developmental edit stage. I don't have anyone else working on the book with me. My plan is to query an agent this year. My eventual goal is to get traditionally published. And I've spoken about this before, and I like to write really skinny first drafts. So a lot of the work I'm doing at the moment is taking a really basic sentence and then adding in all the description of stuff that I need and in a way over adding, and then as I get to the end of the chapter I'm reading back through it and then doing little edits of that's a little bit much, calm down girly. I also want to build a life that is not going to invite any burnout. I want to make sure that I'm eating every day at lunch. I want to make sure I'm getting enough water and hydration, and of course cups of tea. It's gonna be a chaotic week, besties. Granted, it's gonna be lots of me sitting down typing, but mentally the chaos is there, okay? I just can't tell you guys about it yet. You know the deal. Besties, it is 9:15 Monday morning. I've got my tea, I've got my water. Let's get started on chapter 9 and see how we go today. This week started so well. We got straight to work Monday morning and I smashed out my first chapter before lunchtime. I got about halfway through the second chapter before taking a little break for lunch, and then my third chapter just went so easy. Like, I was in absolute flow state on Monday. It was amazing. Every single sentence that I came to, I was looking at, I was evaluating. My brain was in absolute full tilt primo editing mode. It was amazing. It was such a good time actually. I had a lot of fun editing this earlier in the week. Every time I read through sections of this book, I get this giddy feeling. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with these characters. They are exactly the people that I wanted them to be, and more importantly, they are exactly the people that they needed to be. Besties, I'm taking a break for lunch. I've done 2 chapters this morning, but I am the literal worst when it comes to presentation with my food. If I'm making food for someone else, I will put in the effort to present it nicely. This is my jacket potato with beans and cheese, and all you can see is the cheese. This is just like how my lunch looks every day. Like, it's always so badly presented and I just don't have the energy in myself to make my food look nice because it's just me eating it. The chapters earlier in this week were really quite easy to edit. There was a lot of work to do on them, but they were easy in a sense of once I started, I just got into this flow state. There was a lot of rewriting to be done, yes, which might seem harder, but as I was rewriting it, it just seemed to just go so quickly and I really smashed through day 1. I feel like recently where I've just been really kind of getting 1, maybe 2 chapters rewritten in a week, the progress has been so slow. But honestly, I've smashed through today's chapters and I'm actually really happy with that. I'm a little bit shocked as to how easily everything flowed. I feel like by the end of the week, I might be feeling slightly different. Honestly, day 1 has been a success. I honestly feel like at this precise moment in time, I'm like, I could so do this full time. Like, if this was my job, I would be so happy. I'm here for this. I am vibing with this lifestyle. It's 4 o'clock now. I'm losing the light. I feel like today has been so super productive. I'm really proud of myself actually. I was like expecting this to be actually a really difficult challenge. I was really not expecting that I would find even day 1 this easy and this like flow state. I'm a little bit shocked at myself. I'm impressed, but I'm shocked. Tuesday, I decided to give myself a little half-hour reading break. I was up really early in the morning, so I wanted to start my day a little bit slower, but I could really start to see at this point in the week what my life could look like if I did get the opportunity to write books full-time, and this was such a good motivating factor for me. Once I started writing, I was fully in that flow state. I was absolutely just chugging along, and then after I took a break for lunch, it did kind of go a little bit downhill. I don't know what it was. I don't know if just the chapters that I started to get to as we hit the middle and end of this week were ones that when I wrote them initially, I was in a really good place, and I was adding in a lot more descriptions and a lot more details, and so it was then harder for me to edit because I had to go and just cross-reference what I'd put in new and the descriptions that I'd put in new and make sure that they were matching up. The last thing I want is for me to be writing in one chapter that someone's shirt is pink and then 2 chapters later their shirt's magically changed colour to green. So I had a lot more intensive work to do once I hit these chapters, because where there was already descriptions I had to go back and check everything, and this really slowed me down. I'd just like to say the whole week I was still so super motivated to keep going, and it's not that I lost any motivation and it's not that I hit burnout this week. It's the fact of I'd almost done too good a job with my first draft in some places and less in others, and if my first draft had been really consistent on, you know, lacking descriptions, this would have been a much easier job for me to go through and edit this way. But the fact that my descriptions in the first draft were quite patchy made my life a lot harder. Happy Wednesday, besties. We're about halfway through. Monday, flow state. Oh, love her. Tuesday morning, flow state continuing. Tuesday afternoon, honestly, train wreck, car crash, disaster. I didn't finish my 3 chapters. I've got about a page and a half left of the original draft on the last chapter. So I did like 2 and 80%. What is it? Chapter 14, I think. I don't know why. My brain was just like not concentrating on chapter 14. I think because it's like one of like the really key points of the plot. Obviously I don't want to give it away to you guys, where it's like you start to kind of realize the impact of everything happening, and it's like it's this really epic setting, but the book isn't an epic fantasy, so it's like I'm trying to focus in on this like one piece of it but still keep, I guess, kind of the background there. I feel like I did a good job in the first draft of kind of like putting the bare bones there, so now it's just like putting a little bit of meat on those bones. So I've got 3 chapters and a little bit to do today. I really want to get back on track. So we've gone gremlin mode today. We've got my comfiest trackies, a really old ratty t-shirt, and hubby's jumper that I have stolen. But we're gremlin mode focused today. So this week hasn't really gone the way I had planned. And I realised that for someone who has been regularly editing 1, maybe 2 chapters in a week, to suddenly go to doing 3 a day is just an astronomical jump. Now I realised at the beginning of this video I said I was a little bit delulu for it, but I think it was more than a little delulu. And regardless of the path that this story takes to get people to read it, I want to make sure that when you guys do read it, that it is the absolute best possible version of this story, that everything makes sense, that everything is so super detailed and you can imagine yourself there with the characters in their bodies, seeing what they're seeing, experiencing everything they're experiencing in that moment. I'm choosing to work at a pace that means that I actually finish this story instead of focusing on my 3 chapters, which actually really, if I want to get back completely on target, I would need to do 5 chapters today. Huge, actually astronomical target. Maybe if I was doing this regularly, if this was essentially my full-time job, my full-time life, then maybe that might not be such an astronomical target. But for where I am right now, that is like completely unachievable. I'm gonna go wrap myself in a little blanket burrito. I'm gonna sit on the sofa and watch some films, probably ones that I've seen about 15 times before. I'm at kind of the middle section of the story where when I was drafting it, I was really in a flow state at this point. And I think that kind of shows because instead of it just being like other parts in the first draft where it's like they go here and they do this and this happens, and I've kind of left it for me now, editing Annie, to be like, let me fill this in. I was almost writing it with those kind of things in mind, like yes, there's still work to do, there's always more editing that needs doing. It's a lot more detailed in its current state anyway, so there's a little bit less to do. So I've actually managed to come to almost an easy set of chapters to do, which I think really fits in with this I need to take a pause for a minute. When I made the plan for this week, I was in like hyper productive Annie mode. That doesn't last very long. It's lasted longer than I thought it was going to be honest. Like we've made such good progress this week on this and I feel so invigorated to keep going, but but my brain is just not in gear, and that's okay, because I would rather turn in something that's good, something that's true to the story, something that is like really quality work that is going to progress where we're at with the editing, rather than just going, yeah, I'll just like, you know, fill in a few bits and put in a few extra sentences here and there, and then I'll send that in, and it's like, that was a waste of everyone's time. Friday, I didn't get anything done. I got to Friday and I was like, okay, if I keep going, if I keep pushing myself to do this, I will start to hate this story. I will start to hit burnout, and then everything will just come to a screeching halt. We will end up in the same place that we were at in summer last year, and nothing will happen, and you'll start to hate it. And so Friday, I just went, do you know what? I'm prioritizing other aspects of my life. I'm prioritizing my mental health today. And honestly, sitting on the sofa for the day and not doing a lot was exactly the day I needed. And I made up for it by Saturday going out to a coffee shop. I did actually get a chapter and a half done while sat at a coffee shop with my nice little chai and my pistachio croissant, and it was a great time, and I actually got a lot of work done. But the most important thing, and the thing that I really need to take away from this video and this experience, is that even if I was doing this full time, giving myself a goal of like 3 chapters a day is great on paper, and it sounds amazing, and it sounds like, you know, I could edit my 33 chapters in 2 and a bit weeks. No, I couldn't do that. I couldn't work at that pace. Tomorrow I go back to my corporate job. I'm not gonna have 8 hours a day to be doing 3 chapters of edits. I'm not gonna have that time, and my time in the evenings is split up between existing, eating, sleeping, catching up with friends, playing some games, looking after my mental health, and edits. And I think that's important, is like, I am not currently in a situation where I could do this full time. This is still a dream for me to be able to do this full time. I was expecting to come out of this week and be like, oh my god, when I get to do this full time, my life will be amazing. I'll do 3 chapters a day. I'll be churning out books like you wouldn't believe. 2 releases, yeah, let's do it. And I've gotten to the end of this week and I'm like, there's more to it than just making sure the descriptions are flowery. As much as I'm saying these are my developmental edits, and after this it will be going to beta readers and a few minor edits before I want to query with agents in summer, I know that should I be lucky enough to be offered representation by an agent, they're going to want to do more developmental edits. Should I get past that stage and find a publisher, they're going to want to do more developmental edits. I still have to love it through that whole process. And I'm fully prepared to keep working on it and do those edits and work with an agent and an editor to make the story even better than where it is now. Moving forward, going back to the corporate job during the week, I still want to be doing 2 chapters a week, not what I have been doing of 1 every other week. I want to prioritize this. I want to keep working on this, and I want to keep loving it. So this wasn't really the vlog I'd intended to film. I'd gone into this with a goal, and yeah, we didn't meet that goal. I want to query with agents in summer, and I want to get it out for you guys to read. Hopefully one day, unless agents completely hate it, and then I'd have no idea what I'm doing. Thank you guys so much for watching. A little bit of a train wreck of a week, honestly, but actually a really enlightening week for me. I hope you guys have an absolutely amazing Cozy Chaos day and that your next read is a 5-star. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.